Welcome to the Academy, a series focused on the basics of Star Wars: The Old Republic. Toborro's Courtyard through the Groupfinder is the fastest way to earn Tech Fragments, the endgame currency for gear in Star Wars: The Old Republic. In this video, we'll be going over the full information about running Toborro's Courtyard using the Groupfinder, the tricks to getting it to work, and all the bugs you may encounter, especially if you are leading a group. Each run will earn you around 600 Tech Fragments, and the actual fight takes less than 10 minutes, even with a less experienced group. To run Toborro's Courtyard, you will need to be level 70 or higher, and be subscribed to the game, which are the requirements for any operation in the game. I really like this fight because it's quite easy, and I tell players who join me for my runs that they don't need any gear, any experience, or skill to join. While the method of getting into the fight can be a bit convoluted, the actual fight is great for beginners and has a giant laser beam, which is a great introduction to operation mechanics. To join a Toborro's Courtyard group, head to the Republic or Imperial Fleet and look in general chat for players posting about TC, short for Toborro's Courtyard. This fight is also sometimes called Golden Fury, which shortens to GF, which is also short for Groupfinder. The Groupfinder requires specific roles, so in their chat message you'll see them looking for the following: a tank. You really only need one, and sometimes experienced groups go without a tank altogether, but your tank will need to know some basics like what their taunts are. They don't have to be a great tank, they don't have to be geared or anything like that. You'll need a healer. Same thing, you only need one healer. Though your healer should know some basics like where their combat revive button is. This is something a lot of basic beginner healers don't know yet, so check in with your healer if they're new. A DWT, a damage with taunt. So a player who can queue as a tank but will focus on doing damage. That includes Assassins, Juggernauts, and Power Tech's Imperial side, and Shadows, Guardians, and Vanguard's Republic side. DWH, damage with heal, and that one's a player who can queue as a healer but will focus on doing damage. This includes Imperial side Sorcerers, Operatives, and Mercenaries, and Republic side that'll be Sages, Scoundrels, and Commandos. And some DPS, a damage player of any kind. The goal of getting these roles is to queue up with a group who can tell the Groupfinder that they have the standard grouping of 2 healers, 2 tanks, and 4 DPS, even if there's actually only 1 tank, 1 healer, and 6 damage characters, which makes the fight go a lot faster than having the composition the Groupfinder is actually looking for. If you meet the roles that the player hosting the run in chat is looking for, click their name in chat to message them, and type what role you are as the Whisper. For example, just DPS space TC is fine. If you get accepted, make sure to confirm which roles you're going to queue up for in chat. So if you message as a DWT, your damage with taunt, make sure you're actually queuing as a tank and not as a DPS. Sometimes it's good to check. And then open the icon of 3 little people near your minimap. Choose Group from the tabs at the top, and choose the correct role from the drop-down. There's an important bug related to this drop-down that you and your group members need to know about. If you need to change the drop-down, you should also travel to your stronghold or to the fleet to get the game to properly recognize you've changed roles. Otherwise, the Groupfinder will ignore the new choice you've just made, and things may not work well when your group tries to queue up. If you have a less experienced group, it can help to type in chat what everyone needs to queue up as by name, and then remind them to check the drop-down and travel to the fleet or stronghold if they had to change it. The Groupfinder does not allow you to group up with a full pre-made group of 8. Instead, once your group is ready, usually one of the tanks will leave and queue up by themselves in the Groupfinder. Sometimes that tank will queue up for a random story mode operation. Other times, if you're in a very organized group, that player will queue up for just Toborro's Courtyard and forfeit the random reward in return for saving the group time. Once that player queuing by themselves is ready, the group of 7 left will be queued for story operations through the Groupfinder, with no filters applied so they can get the daily Groupfinder reward. If everyone's roles are correct, you should get a pop either immediately or shortly after you queue. There are 2 problems that might occur once you get a pop-up. You might get either the wrong operation, or you might get the wrong person as your 8th player. If you get the right person, but the wrong operation, just decline the pop-up and queue up again. Sometimes you'll get lucky and get Toborro on the first try, and other times you'll get unlucky and it will take you many times. Just keep queuing till you have the right players and the right operation, then click Ready. If this isn't happening, make sure to check the Lockouts tab in the Activities Finder and make sure no one is locked out. There's also some funky stuff that can happen if the player has run a harder mode of the operation, even if you're only running story mode. So if any players are locked out of story mode or veteran mode Toborro's Courtyard, have them switch to a different character. If you get the wrong person, you can try queuing again and hope for the right person. However, a fast thing to do is have your group leader who is queuing your group up add that player who you accidentally got temporarily to their ignore list by typing /ignore and then the player's name. If you don't, you may decline and queue up again and keep getting the same person in your queue every time, which is frustrating for both you and for them. Sometimes the Groupfinder also just takes a few minutes to think about its options instead of being an immediate pop-up like it should be, so try waiting a minute or two first to see if it fixes itself and gives the operation after thinking. The last bug just happens sometimes. You'll have all the right roles, no lockouts, and your 8th player is in the queue, but you just don't get a pop. If this happens, you can have your healer leave the group and queue up with the tank, so you have one group of 6 and one group of 2, which seems to fix things most of the time. Once actually in the operation, tell whoever randomly received group lead to type /RC in chat to make sure everyone is ready. You can have your tank destroy one of the small isotope containers, which will make things easier for your healer. Just be aware attacking these will put your group into combat, so leave them alone until your team is ready. During the fight, the boss will play a loud siren warning sound, during which everyone on your team should run up the stairs near the boss and onto the orange tiles until the red laser beam goes off. There will also be some additional enemies in the back. If your group happens to have a second tank, they'll be the ones to go pick those up. Otherwise, at least one player should dedicate themselves to killing the additional droids that appear right after the red laser beam. Otherwise, they can do a lot of damage to the group if they're ignored or not defeated quickly. Experienced groups can easily flip through multiple runs of Toborro's Courtyard in a short period of time by making sure everyone knows what roles they are queuing for and switching around between characters, keeping in mind the roles that are required like the damage with taunt and damage with heals, and having their 8th player queue up for just Toborro's Courtyard. At 600 tech fragments a run, although the method of getting into the operation through the Groupfinder is a bit convoluted, the extra steps and patience are well worth the reward of an easy 600 tech frags. I hope you enjoyed this in-depth video about how to run Toborro's Courtyard through the Groupfinder. It can be very hard to figure out what's going on if you've never run it before or had it explained before. If you want to show your support for these in-depth Star Wars The Old Republic videos, visit Swtorista.com/support and pledge. If you want similar Star Wars The Old Republic videos to show up on your YouTube homepage, subscribe to this channel. As always, may the Groupfinder luck be with you.